the MEP of the new eco design review. We will have some questions for you, Alessandra, today, so we can understand a bit more of this revision. And maybe we can start with your own words. You said we still live in a take, make, dispose culture. And in your opinion, how is this new revision of the European Union's eco-design framework for sustainable products going to change this mindset? What are, in your opinion, the main or the most important changes that this revision brings?
Thank you, Caterina, to invite me to have an exchange of views about this important regulation that, as you said before, will have a very strong impact on our society, our business, and our consumers. The regulation will, in fact, radically change the way in which industry operates, showing the way to manage the entire life cycle of a product production, including the end of life. And believe me, it will change for a better. And this regulation finds its rationale in respecting the limit of our planet, establishing a legislative framework that will contribute to making products compliant with a climate neutral, resource efficient, and circular economy. The products that will be progressively placed on the European market, therefore, will have to be designed in such a way as to respect the environment, the ecosystem, and protect the health of consumers. Furthermore, it will allow consumers to save energy, to enable them to repair the products they buy rather than having to throw them away, and to give them the opportunity through the digital passport to be fully aware of what they buy and to choose for quality and respect the environmental. Some of the most important changes that this revision will bring are, in my opinion, this. The first one is the introduction of a direct ban for the destruction of unsold textiles and footwear. The second is the introduction of strong provision which will restrict the presence of substances of concern into the products, making it easier to dispose them at the end of their life. And the third is the digital product passport.
Okay, we'll get to some of them throughout the questions. You said something very important there regarding the life cycle and being able to repair. As someone who has been very frustrated by having a fully functional computer that became worthless because there were no longer updates for the computers, so I could install and support the whole operating system, I was very happy to see that in this report the European Union is now trying to guarantee that companies make available not only consumables and spare parts and accessories, but also functioning software. So software updates for an appropriate period of time. My question is, how do you assess what is an appropriate period, and for how many years are we going to have to guarantee responsibility, or companies going to have to guarantee repairability in the European Union?
Indeed, this is a very important provision of the regulation. But please don't forget that this regulation just lie down a framework for setting eco-design requirements, such as product durability, reusability, upgradability, and repairability. So, however, it does remain a framework, the content of which will be further defined by the Commission through delegated acts. This is the reason why I think that functioning software updates should work for an appropriate period, which should be evaluated by the appropriate actors, meaning the European Commission, taking into account the specific characteristics of each product group.
Okay, so different timings for different product groups. Okay, thank you. Still on the software updates, how is the European Union guaranteeing that these updates are not just pretend? For example, I think we have all experienced the pain of installing a new phone update on a phone that works, and then the phone becoming painfully slow. The update is available, but in practice, it is still programmed obsolescence.
This is the reason why in the regulation we stressed that eco-design requirements should also address practices associated with premature obsolescence. Such practices have in fact an overall negative impact on the environment in the form of increased waste and use of energy and materials. We also managed to introduce a definition of what premature obsolescence. The eco-design, however, should also be read in close connection with the recently adopted Empowering Consumer Directive, which, among other things, aims to better protect consumers against unfair practices such as early obsolescence, and product with a commercial guarantee will have a label indicating its length and a reminder of obligatory legal guarantee. In that way, consumers will be able to identify which products will last longer than others.
Okay, thank you. That's a very important provision. I believe one of the most ambitious and important proposals of this report is one that you stated earlier today, which is the ban on the destruction of unsold textiles and footwear. However, another aspect of the rules of this report is the need to make clothing repairable, which will require manufacturers to produce spare parts, for example, zippers and shoelaces, so that people can repair their clothing and their shoes. So my question is, how can we ensure that manufacturers produce enough products and spare parts for consumers to be able to repair and maintain their clothing and footwear, while also not producing so many that they have to go to waste because they cannot destroy them anymore?
The ban of the destruction of unsold textiles and footwear is a very important aspect of this regulation, which wasn't present in the original Commission proposal, and a point which is very close to my heart. The destruction of textiles and footwear is in fact becoming a widespread environmental problem throughout the Union, in particular due to the rapid growth of online sales. This amounts to a loss of economic resources as goods are produced, transported, and subsequently destroyed without even being used for their intended purpose. This regulation, therefore, represents a turning point. The introduction of a direct ban of unsold textiles and footwear will contribute to a paradigm shift in the way in which, especially some large companies, produce their goods. The direct ban will enter into force 2 years after the entry into force of the regulation. Small and micro companies will be exempted of this ban, while medium-sized companies will benefit of a 6 years exemption. According to an ongoing study clothing and footwear waste amounted to 5.2 mega ton, equivalent to 12 kilos per person per year in the European Union. In the light of these numbers, the issue of the availability of spare parts is, in my opinion, a non-issue. Our main objective should be contrast the phenomena of fast fashion, and given the number we are talking about, I don't foresee any possible shortage of spare parts.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Just to close this topic on the destruction of unsold items, do you think companies will argue that this may disrupt their economies of scale and lead to increasing product prices?
As I said before, the regulation will call for a paradigm shift in the way in which, in particular, some big companies should produce their goods. The regulation will provide consumers with access to better information and higher quality products. The cost of manufacturing the products that will be regulated are expected to increase, with possibility that some may be being passed on the consumers. The experience under the current eco-design directive, however, is that increased manufacturing costs are more than offset by financial savings for consumers over the long term. Improved product performance and longer functionality will reduce the need to replace products and lead to overall cost saving, including through lower energy and resource consumption, better performance, durability, upgradability, and reparability, as well as higher value at the end of life.
Thank you. It's very important to do the whole math, right, regarding the whole experience and lifespan of the product.
Yes.
In this report, in the eco design report, something very interesting that is proposed, and you talked about it earlier, is the creation of a product passport, which should contain the product's environmental and social impact. How will this work in real life? What kind of information should it be there?
The digital passport represents, in my opinion, an important innovation in the current panorama and decides a tool for promoting circularity. The new products that will be available on the market can in fact be sold only if accompanied by this tool, which must contain accurate and updated information on the environmental impact of the products in circulation. The passport will help consumers and also business to make informed choices when purchasing products and help public authorities to better perform checks and controls. How it will work in practice. Every product that will be sold will be accompanied by a QR code or with other similar tools through which the consumers will be consciousness and redirected to a page where they will find precise and updated information on the environmental impact of products in circulation, which will allow them to make informed choices, facilitate repairs and recycling, and increase transparency on the environmental impact of what they want to choose and to buy. So in this regard, I also hope that one day, not too far away, the product passport will also be used, at least for some product categories, as a tool to provide information also on the social sustainability of the product, which unfortunately is not the case today.
Could you please elaborate on the importance of giving consumers information not only about the environmental sustainability, but also their social impacts, in particular in the textile sector? Why is this important?
The scope of the Commission proposal only covers the environmental sustainability of the product. I do, however, think that it was a missed opportunity to have not been able to extend it also to the social one. I tried hard during the negotiation, but unfortunately, I found a strong opposition, both from the center-right wing parties of the European Parliament and also from the Council. We all know that in the textile sector, there is a serious social issue. Some brands often don't pay a decent wage to the actors in the production chain and don't always redistribute the wealth generated equality. So we must therefore act and intervene to remove the relevance of fast fashion as a model based on the overproduction of low quality clothes and no longer legitimizing induced of overconsumption. The EU should force manufacturers and large fashion companies to operate more sustainability. Disasters occurred in the past, such as the collapse of the Rana Plaza factory in Bangladesh 10 years ago, the increase in textile landfills in Ghana and Nepal, polluted water, and the presence of microplastics in our oceans show what happens if we don't not pursue this goal. These recurring disasters are wake-up call the Western world, including the EU, to take the responsibility for the consequences of placing consumers' preferences over abundance and accessibility at the expense of moderation and sustainability way to use goods. The intent is therefore to ensure that companies convert their production towards quality fashion accessible to all. As I have already said, in Europe alone, each of us discard around 20 kilos of clothes every year, and most of this waste increases the pollution of ecosystems around the world. But without hypocrisy, we must say that it mainly pollutes the poorest countries, which have become the replaceable of what we are discarding. Just think about Ghana, Bangladesh, of Chile. Overproduction and overconsumption are causing immense damage to our planet, often in the general indifference. In this context, the devastating role of fast fashion is clear for all to see, encouraging people to buy, throw away, and buy again in the endless circle. In this sense, it therefore becomes fundamental to provide consumers with information on social aspects and educate them on more responsible consumption through ad hoc awareness campaigns. Unfortunately, for the moment, on social issues, we have only managed to insert into the text only a review clause according to which within 4 years of entry into force the regulation, the Commission will be called upon to consider the inclusion of social sustainability in its scope of application.
Okay, let's hope in the future we can see.
I hope so. But we have to work very hard.
Yeah. Yes, true. It's the kind of work that needs to be done. So thank you so much. I have just one final question. That is, when can we expect to see all these measures taking effect in the European Union?
The regulation will be voted in plenary either in March or in April, and it will enter into force 20 days after its publication in the official journal, meaning that at the latest mid-May. But the regulation provides also some specific deadlines. For example, the ban on the destruction of unsold goods will now enter into force 2 years after the entry into force of the regulation. The delegated act, which will adopted by the Commission under the regulation, will on the other hand enter into force 18 months after their adoption, in order to give the manufacturers and member state national authorities the time to adapt to the eco-design requirements.
Thank you so much, Alessandra, for explaining everything so clearly, and also for your amazing work in this eco-design revision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catarina, and thank you so much for your support. Thank you.